Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's hobby live stream. I've got some special tools I'm going to be trying out today, which is sent to me by GodHand. And the main reason that I took this sponsorship, because today's episode is sponsored by them, is because I am super intrigued by this tiny dry brush that they sent me. Like, I saw it when they contacted me, and I was like, that could be very interesting because I have some delicate dry brushing that I need to focus on today, because last time we were working on these orcs and we made some beautiful pink plasma for their weapons. But I really want to make the plasma look like it's glowing, but all of my dry brushes are gigantic. Like, I currently mainly use the Army Painter's dry brushes, which they do have a small tip on one of them, but it's nowhere near the size of this one. It is much larger, and I think this is going to give me a lot more control. So I'm curious to see how this brush in particular works. But we are going to be trying out some of the other brushes as well. Before we actually get into painting though, I'm going to let people filter in. I know the ads just went out about me going live, so I'll let people come in. And in the meantime, please tell me what you guys are working on this week. I know there may not be a whole lot of hobby projects as we are approaching the holiday season. I think we're day 3 for Hanukkah, if I'm not mistaken, and then Christmas is just around the corner on Sunday. I'm very excited. Please tell me what you guys are working on, what you might be excited for the holidays as gifts, or if you're just, excited to give somebody something. Of course, don't say that if you think that they may be watching. But if you don't think they are, please tell me all of the things that you're doing this week. And hello to everybody who is here already. That includes Joe, Fabian, Michael, and Stainsby, Kingsby. Hello, welcome to the stream. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these open while I am waiting to see what you guys have to say, and that way it just gets them out of the plastic and everything. We can take a little bit of a closer look at them. This is a company that I was not super familiar with when they first reached out to me. I actually had to do a little bit of research, and I'm intrigued by what they offer. Like I said, these little brushes, I'm not normally a massive fan of super tiny brushes, but I have grown recently to like them a little bit more. You've probably seen me use some on these streams when I've been working on my orcs, because I have some from Tamiya, which is another Japanese brand. But I also just really like the name of this company. GodHand reminds me of Berserk so heavily, and I like it really cracked me up. But yeah, I'm really like, let's actually take a look at these brushes. Oh yes, Stainsby has a question. Are there any makeup brushes that are round like Artist Opus brushes? Yeah, there are definitely, you can definitely get makeup brushes that have the nice rounded tips. I mean, even this one, ooh. This is stiff, but not as stiff as I was expecting. I've had one brush very similar in shape to this in my past, and the bristles were like the stiffest thing I've ever seen in my life. But this actually has a really nice flex that I think will work really well for dry brushing. So I'm actually very excited about that. But in regards to like those larger round brushes, yes, there are definitely makeup brands that use them. I'm not a big makeup person. Like, I wear some, but it's minimal and I have no idea what I'm doing. So when it comes to recommending some, don't ask me, I don't know. I would honestly just go to like your local, big box store, like a Target or Walmart or something, and just buy a pack of small makeup brushes and try them out. Or you can potentially grab something like this from GodHand and get some nice round brushes as well. Because honestly, this is a really nice one. It's not as big. And I'd love to see them like do some also larger scale brushes, because I do think there's some uses in having larger brushes. But so far, like, I'm really, really liking the look of this one. They also just have some really nice tips on these brushes. They need to be washed a little bit, because they definitely have the wax that they sometimes put into your bristles to help them keep their shape. I'm curious if this one does as well. Yes, so they all do. So these ones, you can see there's like very little flex, like it took some effort to get that to flex there. That's because oftentimes when you first get your brushes, they're going to have a little, ooh, I don't like how tight that is. I'm not gonna try to put that back on. they'll have a little bit of like a wax material in them, and you'll want to wash that out before you actually use them. So we'll definitely rinse these. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to bang the camera. Before we start getting to work with them. But this is the other one that I really wanted to open up here, because this is the smaller of the two dry brushes. And they actually sent me a bunch of different tools that I'm planning on exploring, but I specifically wanted to focus on these brushes first. They have a lot of interesting little stuff. Get out. Give me this brush. I would like to... It's a tight package. Okay. That is not working. Excuse me while I struggle to manipulate this packaging. Ah! Clearly I was like squeezing or something from the... So we've got the actual brush. Does this have... Oh, it's the same. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, I'm really excited about this. Also, the grip is nice because they actually made the handle on this a little bit larger so that it's not as tiny in your hand, even though it's got a very, very fine tip. These ones are a little bit smaller. You can see it's not quite as wide of a grip near the bottom, but it's not bad, honestly. I cannot read any of the descriptions on the back of the box, which is fine. I am curious, what is this? They gave me... Oh, it's just a lid. Oh, is it a lid? I'm afraid to... Oh, I think it's a cap. That is fascinating. Does it go all the way? No, I guess it doesn't. Oh, that's brilliant, and I like it, and I want all brushes to come with this. It probably makes it a little bit more costly, I will admit, because you're sending an extra piece of like plastic or this. Yeah, it's plastic. An extra bit of plastic. It might be aluminum, actually. I'm not sure. But regardless, that's super convenient, because then if you're like traveling with your brushes and you're worried about the bristles getting messed up or smushed, which can especially happen with dry brushes as you're like pressing into them, this will help prevent additional pressure over time just from it being in your bag from building up. That is fantastic. Okay, we're gonna actually use some of these tiny brushes now. Also, let me check on what you guys are working on, because I see that there's been a lot of comments that have come in as I've been gabbing. Zeb is working on Heresy Space Wolves. That sounds fantastic. I do love their like Horus Heresy era armor a lot more than I think I like the more modern stuff, if I'm honest. Stainsby, I've answered your question. Good. You are working and hoping to get working on your Knight Dominus. That sounds very exciting. You finally found the right magnets, which is fantastic. I did not end up magnetizing my big Chaos Knight, but I actually did magnetize the Imperial Knight that he was kind of meant to go with and be part of his fallen brother. And I really enjoyed that. I need to magnetize more of my large things. It's definitely worthwhile. Michael, you're still working on Obi-Wan, which is fantastic. Oh, what paints are you waiting on for your sisters? Are you looking for like a specific color scheme? Are you doing something outside of like the classic colors, or are you just waiting on some of those to come in? I have not gone to a hobby shop in a little while because I have plenty of paints and I haven't really needed to like go pick up new ones. So I haven't actually seen what the hobby supplies is looking like this holiday season. Because I know in a couple years past, it was really sparse because there were just so many people jumping into the hobby, which was fantastic to see, and like buying up those products and everything. So like, I should do that. I should swing by, like, I don't know if I want to this week though. Maybe I'll do it afterwards. So they'll probably still be just as like out of product, if they are out of product, as they would be now. I don't know when my next Lego Star Wars stream is going to be. I know that I have some streaming plans for the Christmas week, or the week, I guess, in between Christmas and the New Year. But I don't think it's specifically going to be the Lego Star Wars, although I do want to come back to that because I was really, really enjoying it. And who doesn't want to talk about Obi-Wan and his flirtatious nature all the time? Because that's what we're doing, because we're playing episode 1. And then, let's see. Oh, they are. Stainsby, I completely agree with you. The war suits were a huge pain to build. So if you guys saw my tutorial where I painted a Paragon war suit, that was such a fiasco of a video to get set up because what ended up happening is I built the suit incorrectly twice and had to then go and buy a whole new kit to basically fix what I had done. And it was a thing. It was quite a thing. I just realized I need my Doomfire magenta. Let me lean awkwardly. All right, got it. So my plan for this dry brush is I'm going to try something that I've only done a few times with contrast paint. I'm actually going to mix it in with an opaque paint, just using the Army Painter's matte white. But we're going to mix Doomfire magenta with it gradually to build up a brighter highlight, ending with more of a true white or just a very, 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 very pale pink, because I want to build up the glow effect on my plasma. I like what I've got going a little bit already with, and I'm going to use a different brush, not one of the GodHand ones, to just mix my paints. But we'll be using the GodHand ones to actually test them out and see how they work. But I wanted to build up this paint a little gradually because I wanted to have a little bit more of, like I said, that glow. This looks good, but I didn't thin the paint super a lot when I originally put it on, so I didn't get quite as bright of like a highlight as I was hoping I would. And also some of these newer colors are just a little bit more flat than some of the other ones. So I'm gonna get some, if you guys wanna see the majestic mixing happening. There you go. I think this is gonna be a good foundation for our lighter color tone, and then we will make it even brighter going forward. It's really funny to me how more subdued and more like pink this ends up looking with just a small amount of white. Do I want to put a little bit more? I think that's gonna be a little too pink. I want it to be more magenta-y, like this paint actually is. So let's mix in a bit more. Yeah, that is more what I'm looking for. Now, the one concern here is this makes the paint a little bit wetter, which means that it's going to be a little bit trickier for us to dry brush with. But I'm hoping with the control with this small brush that I'm going to be using, that's not going to be as big of a deal. So I'm going to start with this slightly larger one because we're going to be working on a little bit of a bigger area, right? We don't want to go super small yet, and I'm very curious. I'm also very curious how this is going to clean later on. I don't think this one has the wax in it. I think these are just synthetic bristles. So we're just going to dab some paint into there. That's looking good. And then we need to wipe a lot of it off. Feel like I've got enough off. Maybe too much. Might have wiped too much off. Let me do that again. That's feeling better. I like it. All right, let's go ahead and start dry brushing. We're gonna work from the top, I think. Yes. Oh yeah, this definitely does give me a lot of control. Of fiber, because these bristles are so stiff. I got a little bit of fibers from my paper towel. Oops, I'm off the screen. In my bristle, but I cleaned it up now. I really do like that. We're gonna definitely build this up more, but this is in fact working how I kind of had hoped it would. It's even working actually really well from the side. One of the nice things about rounded brushes when it comes to dry brushes is you can kind of work on them from any angle, which becomes really, really useful because your models end up being bizarrely shaped, right? Like they've got a bunch of angles and curves and weird shapes and all sorts of things happening. Ooh, Toy Painter 1, you're working on some Primaris Marines. What chapter are you painting them as? I'm very curious to know. Are you going with a traitor chapter? Probably not, since you're saying they're Primaris, or a loyalist chapter. And because, well, I say that, but you know, you could call. I think the Dark Angels are chaos. I think they're sweet, sweet chaos. Also, Tim, you have been working on your mechs versus minions, dude. I have not seen that game in ages. The models in it are super cool looking. Like, I wish that was one that I had actually kickstarted. I was so bummed that I did not end up backing that one, but that's okay. I've seen plenty of people with it, and it looks really, really cool. Okay, I'm happy with, I want to do a little bit more on this side. I'm happy with the other side, but we want a little bit more of that punch. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and grab this guy, swap him. Now, this is the one where I was a little bit more concerned, and this is really the reason that when I saw these little dry brushes, like, perfect. Because this is a tiny little area, but it is like the exact size. I need a bit more paint. I don't need that plastic. Get out of here, plastic. And be a little delicate, so yeah, my one thing with this is I will say, I keep getting a little bit of fibers into my bristles, so I might need to figure out a different cloth option for getting my excess paint off. Maybe I'll just use my hand. Because I don't want to end up leaving fibers on my model. I do enough of that already as it is, just on my own. I don't need the brush helping me do that. But this is giving me a lot of control. And because these bristles are actually quite stiff, I don't feel like they're wildly going off and splaying onto things where I don't want them to. I think it's pretty good. What do you guys think? Ooh, a homebrew loyalist chapter. Who are they successors to, or are they successors to anybody? And if they're called the Warhounds, I like it. Yeah, that is Kingsby. That is exactly part of the problem with the Paragon Wars suit. Is it's just so many, like, it's just so intricate for such a small model. I mean, I guess it's not super small, but it feels really small to me at least. But that's mostly because I've also been working with larger knights and everything so far. All right, I'm feeling good with where we're at with that. But now I want to add a little bit more white in and see if we can get this even brighter looking. So we're gonna do a little glob of white. I close my magenta paint so I don't actually bump into it. And then I'm still gonna mix with not the dry brush because I just feel like that's gonna be a problem. Okay, here is a much, much lighter pink now. We're gonna build this up gradually. Like I'm gonna go really soft with it first, and then we're gonna switch in and do a little bit more delicate work with this brush. But for right now, we're gonna stick with this stiffer one. Also, because I've got some of the pink previously in this one, it'll mix even further. I do that I'm just gonna do it on my hand. Yeah. That's doing what I hoped it would. Bring our model over and get to paint it. I guess it won't be too bad if I get a little bit of pink other places, even if I didn't have this super delicate brush to work with, which I am genuinely liking, because it would just be like glow from the light reflecting off. That is looking really nice. I think we need to go brighter on our next step, but I am enjoying the effect of this. Okay, let's work on this bigger one because we'll probably see it more here. Ooh, I can also use those little brushes to take these colors and put them into the dot and the eye because we'll want that to glow a little bit too. Oh. Stabilizing him a little bit and pushing him down, and I don't want him to fall off the base. Enjoying this. How are you guys doing? Like, do you think it's looking good? Do you think the glow effect is actually happening like I want it to, or am I just fooling myself? Might be kind of subtle for you guys to see on there, which means I need to bump things up. But it's looking actually like, let's see if I can, like, you guys can see the glow effect, right? Hello, Mr. J. Welcome to the stream. Happy to have you here. I'm assume, I've not asked, but your name is referencing the Joker, right? Like, I just assume it must be. I mean, I guess your name could just start with a J, so you could be a Mr. J yourself, but like, are you a Batman fan? And if so, which is your favorite Joker? Okay, good. I'm glad the effect is coming through. The one thing I will say makes me a little bit nervous about this brush is this wood, very soft. It feels great in my hand. I am terrified if I accidentally press too hard that I'm gonna snap it because it really reminds me of balsa wood. I don't think it's balsa wood. It is such a soft feeling handle that I feel like I could just hit. But I mean, I'm putting a fair amount of pressure on this and I'm not really bowing it or anything. It just, I don't know, it slides. And as somebody who has used a lot of brushes, there's something nice about a grip, like when you find one that you're like, oh, this is comfortable for me to use. I don't feel like I'm straining myself. And for some reason, this is just fitting very well into my hand. Maybe it's because I have small hands and I need small brushes. That could really just be what it is. Let's add a bit more white in. We might need to add a bit more pink, just because I think my paint might be getting a little bit dry and not in the way that I want it to, but in the unusable sort of way. But hopefully, no, this is fine. I've added so much white to this. Let's go! Really mix that in. Make sure that it's still kind of pinky. I think this is what we're gonna go with next. We're gonna do this like really, really like, I guess baby pink. Very, very baby pink color tone. But sometimes that's what you just need in life. A little bit of pink. I know I said I was gonna switch to the small brush, but this is actually working really well, and since I'm still doing this larger section of pink first, I'm gonna stick with this for right now. No, don't do that. On our hand. All right, let's go. Because it'll keep blending in, and I'll give me a more subtle like color transition too. But we do want to start making sure that as we apply this and lighter and lighter we go, that we don't spread it out as far as we did the last layers. That way we actually get like a concentrated kind of glow effect. So I'm gonna put this more on just this edge, this one side, and then the top, and not have it blend down as much. And now we're really starting to get a good glow effect that I'm quite happy with. Okay, I'm gonna switch to my other brush. I'm gonna try to beat some of the paint out of this because I don't want it to... I have no idea how quickly these bristles are gonna get jacked or not. But I don't want to wet the bristles yet because it's such a small brush. It's definitely gonna absorb way too much water. But what we are gonna do is we're gonna now try this little brush, which is a lot more soft than honestly I was expecting. Okay. Swapper boys. Got it. Nice. So it's just a nickname. I enjoy that. Let's face it, the best Joker is Mark Hamill. I mean, yeah, obviously. I am torn between, don't get me wrong, Mark Hamill, absolutely. Especially as the animated Joker. Love him in the 90s animated Batman cartoon. Holy cow, I cannot tell you. But I do have a sweet soft spot for Heath Ledger in my heart. Mostly because I freaking loved him in A Knight's Tale, and then he just nailed it as the Joker in The Dark Knight. And I can't not respect that. So it is really, I'm really torn. Let's test and see how this particular brush works. Okay. It's definitely softer, so I'm feeling like I have to press more than what I did with the other one with the stiffer bristles. But it is giving me a lot of control. I'm doing a little circular motion because I'm trying to capture the top a little bit. I don't know if you guys can specifically, you probably can't see super well because it's such a little area. I need to bring it down a little because I think I've got too high of a contrast on this one. But yeah, that's actually looking pretty good. So I think the next step is just like almost a pure white. Because I want to push that highlight a bit more. And I will admit on this one, I might do some spot washing in between the coils to push the darker color back down, because I think what happened is I got a little aggressive with the larger brush on this section, and you can't really see it on the screen, I don't think, super well, but there's not as a distinction as this guy's having. But that's okay, because we're going to fix that here in just a moment. Let's get a little bit more white down. We will mix it in. Okay, yeah, this is basically like, it's got a tint of pink to it, but it's basically a white, so what I'm looking for. And now we're just gonna stick with the little brush because we want this to be a lot more refined. I'm actually gonna try this one on this paper towel because I think, yeah, it's not picking up the fibers as much, which is honestly very nice. We'll finish with this guy first. Just gonna really focus on one little section. Yeah, like I said, I think I need to refine this a little bit with some spot washing, which is way more detail than I would normally ever put into a troops gun. But we're experimenting with some like new brushes today, and I just really want to see how much can I actually achieve with these? How much control do I actually have? Will I remember to switch my handle so that I can be comfortable while I'm holding this? Probably. All right, so now again, I want to focus this really on this edge here. Oh yeah. That looks spectacular. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. Again, just a little bit. Nice. All right, let's do the spot washing because I'm actually very happy with that. Now, in regards for dry brushing, I'm going to go ahead and clean these now because I don't actually think that I have anything else to use them with. And this is a soft enough brush that I feel like you could even use this as a way to apply other paints. Now, the one thing I'm curious about is how much does this, like how well does this fennel retain? And how quickly are the bristles going to spread out from this? I'll probably do some like follow-up coverage of this on my Instagram just to see, but I'm hoping it's not too bad. So I'm just going to get a little bit of water in there. And just so we can take some of the paint out so the bristles don't get too stained. It was a very dark Joker. I mean, to be fair, that was kind of the point of that movie though, right? Is like that film was meant to be like that universe of Batman was meant to feel a lot darker than otherwise. Oh my god, speaking of DC, can we talk about how the fact that Henry Cavill is now able to even probably work on the Warhammer stuff because his role as Superman is basically canned because they're wanting to reboot the franchise, which means that he will no longer be cast as that character. And I really feel so bad for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson because his movie did not do well. Black Adam did not do well. Like, they ended up not wanting to actually do anything with the two of them, Cavill and Johnson, which would have been cool. Like, talk about a film that would have hit two of my fandoms, like one of my main fandoms with like, it hits a lot of fandoms for me is what I'm trying to say, because it covers wrestling, it covers Warhammer, and it covers DC, because like I always associate, and fantasy, because I associate Henry Cavill first and foremost with The Witcher, and then secondly with his love of Warhammer 40k. And then like I associate Dwayne The Rock Johnson with, honestly, movies. I associate him with The Mummy first and foremost, but then obviously his wrestling career, which I did not watch much of in the 90s because I was not watching wrestling at that time. But I've gone back and watched some of it. I cannot hear, what is that song that is used? The Chaos Cultist is going to be so ashamed of me because I don't remember the song that was used by, I think, and I could be wrong with this because like I said, I don't remember. I think it's Limp Bizkit. My Way? My Way. That's the song. Yes, the My Way song. I can't hear that without actually thinking of the, because I've watched it a couple of times even though I didn't see it like when it came out, but I know that song strictly because of the promo between Dwayne and Steve Austin during their like big epic WrestleMania like throwdown, and it leading up to that, it was just epic. Okay, what I want to do now is I want to try some of these really tiny brushes and on getting some detail work, and then we're going to move on to actually doing the leathers and everything with these other brushes as well. But first we need to grab our magenta. I'm going to mix it just a smidge. There we go. Oh, well, enjoy dinner, Kingsby. I hope you have a wonderful dinner with your wife. That sounds lovely. You'll have to tell me later on the Patreon what you, on Discord, what you actually made. I hope you share. Oh, you should share it in the Food Network. I would love to see. All right, I'm just rinsing the wax off of this. All right, so now we've got a nice flexible tip. It's keeping its shape really well. It's always nice to see. I always get very nervous when I am shopping for brushes, because occasionally you'll go to a store and if you test your brush and everything, you'll just see like the bristles fray immediately. And this is not like this. Pulls and keeps its point really nicely. It's relatively firm. Like I'm having to put a fair amount of pressure to get it to bend like that because this is definitely a synthetic brush. But I really like it. Okay, so we're gonna get a tiny amount of our magenta color tone here. And what I want to do, I'd like to spot wash a little bit. I'm going to actually even switch to the smaller one, because these are very, very tight cables, and I filled them a little bit with paint because of the dry brushing. I almost knocked my paint over there. That would have been, I need to rinse this one too. There we go. Got it all rinsed. Now we can put some paint on there. All right, let's see. Does this smaller brush give me even more control? A little bit more control. All right, now this is going to be the awkward part because I'm going to angle it. So, can you guys? You can still see. Sweet. Chaos Cultist recently rearranged my desk to help stabilize the camera from that flipping problem that we had last time, which I think has been working great, actually. And honestly, the angle has been working super, super well for me, and I think even for, like, this camera position as well, so, which is very nice. Dude, I think he would make a great Caiaphas Cain. I really think he's going to be Eisenhorn, though. We know that GW was wanting to do an Eisenhorn show already, and he definitely... Ooh, my hand is a little shaky. He definitely has an inquisitorial vibe. Alright, I need to see if I can remove some of this, because I got really where I did not want to. Okay, that actually worked surprisingly well, because I don't know why I didn't think of that before. I should have just watered it down really well and like used it as a wash to sort of knock it back. I think this is working pretty well. Might come back in with my tiny dry brush, which I know I just cleaned, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Still actually got some of that very, very pale color. I'm going to try to touch up what I just messed up with my brush. Let's go. Okay, I brought my highlights back. Now we're going to do the proper thing and just glaze. And for that, I'm going to switch back to this larger brush. Get a tiny amount of paint on our palette. And then we're going to thin that stuff down. I'm also just going to try to have a little bit more control with the very edge of my brush. I'm now very nervous. Okay, we can do this. Yes. Yes. Oh, okay, I got it. It worked. I just need to pull it this way. I'm so happy with the results. I'm also going to darken a little bit at the bottom. There we go. I'm very pleased with this. Hello. Hi. Thomas, welcome to the stream. I am also incredibly glad that you found this. So let me give you the rundown of how I'm feeling about these brushes so far, because I think that's a great call out. We should talk about them a little bit more. So far, I've used these four, I can't count. Ignore me, I can count, I just sometimes forget how to. And I am really, really liking them. So these are the two dry brushes, and this is the main reason I went ahead with this sponsorship, because I really like the idea of having some slightly smaller, more controllable dry brushes. And I really have to say, I actually extremely like this one a lot. This one I still like a lot, but the bristles are a little bit softer, and I feel like I could end up just using it as a non-dry brush, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it doesn't feel exclusively like a dry brush specifically to me, at least in my very brief initial usage of it. However, this thing, yes, this is such a good dry brush, and I really want to use it on like detail elements when I'm working on terrain, because I feel like the rounded tip and the stiffer bristles is gonna be perfect for that. And I'm actually very excited that I've tried these now, because it means I can use them when I'm working on my red gobbo later, because that's what I'm going to be painting up this week as a painting tutorial. That's right, we're actually going to have a painting tutorial this month. I know I said it was Lego month, but the red gobbo's been sitting on my shelf for a while, and I figured, you know what, we've been working on orcs here. Why not work on some orcs on the channel, the main videos as well? So we're gonna do that. Oh, I need to do my refining. And so far, I'm really liking these as well. These tips are very nice. They keep their shape very well. They are a little stiff, which I haven't decided is a bad thing or not yet. I don't think so. I find it interesting because you'll notice this is a shorter tipped brush than this one, but I actually, if you look at it, at least to me, in real life. This has a finer point on it than this one does. But this one's going to wibble more because it can flex more because there's more length to the bristles, right? So that's kind of the trade-off of, I feel like I'm getting a finer point out of this than I am this one, but maybe it's just because this one goes longer and it looks that way. Regardless, we need to do a little bit more refining on these plasma coils before we can move on. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to scoot those out of the way so I'm not rolling my wrist on them and causing things to go wildly awry. This is actually giving me a little bit of a better way to brace my model, so I'm not going to actually put it on the handle for a second. There we go. Holy cow, I really, like, that stands out so well now. Dude, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with this. The longer, I agree with that, Thomas. Like, the longer the tip on the brush, I feel like sometimes the more control that you end up having with it because you can manipulate it a little bit better, but I will admit, this just did some nice work for me. Okay, I was talking about the handles on these a little bit earlier and how, like, I like them because they're kind of soft, but they feel a little delicate. There is one other thing that I'm mildly concerned about, I will admit, and I've now gotten a little bit of water into this. And because it is a softer wood, I feel like it's swollen a little bit, and I'm hoping that isn't a like long-term issue that wears out the handles very quickly. It'll be something to keep in mind as I continue working with these, but I am, as long as I don't bang into them, I am really enjoying the tips on these brushes. Like, I'm normally not a very small tipped brush person, but it's working very, very well. I also want to give this, I don't remember what they call this one. This is the filbert. I always forget that name. So this is the filbert that they have in there for like doing larger areas, and I'm going to give it a try on his hat and doing a little bit of this leather work. I would not normally recommend this for like detail work. This is very much for, I think, applying base colors because of how just wide and flat it actually is, and it doesn't come to a nice tight tip, you know? It actually has a more rounded thing, kind of like your dry brushes, but that also gives you some interesting effects when you're pulling it this way, because you can get some nice feathering out of that. Also, some nice fanning, which will be interesting for just like doing some texture work, honestly, or even playing with washes. Like, I'm kind of curious to see like how this works with the contrast paints as if they were being used as a wash. So, although we're not going to be using contrast paints next because we are going to be working on some of the leathers, and I decided I wanted to go ahead and jump into some more of the speed paints because I actually really like, I like sand golem a lot, and I like hardened leather more than I like snakebite leather, and I don't want to end up having their leather end up being the same color tone as my captain's hat, which I use Dark Oath on. So instead, I decided, and I didn't want everything else I feel like the contrast makes is either too red, like way too red, or leans a little bit more like orange, and I'm just not a fan of snakebite leather as much as I used to be. So I figured, why not go with these other colors and try those? So I think I'm going to do hardened leather for my first mate's hat. And maybe some of his other leather elements too. I haven't decided. The reason I pulled Sand Golem out is because on my captain, what I actually did for his leathers was use Agros Dune, but I've already used that on both of these boys' pants because I really liked it. So this is a similar color, but I think it leans a smidge darker, and I'm hoping that it'll complement it well. if I decide to use that. But let's go ahead and get some of my hardened leather on the palette. Did you guys see, by the way? Yeah, no, the model hobbyist, I agree. They are pretty nice brushes. I used to use them a lot more when I was doing like painting work for comics, or inking work for comics. I used the filbert to end up getting in like a lot of big areas very quickly with really nice curves, because you can get really just like clean curves out of a, you can't see that, I was off screen a little bit. You get some really nice like clean strokes by doing that. Let's get this brush a little bit wet. We'll get it a little bit more wet. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and give this boy a shot. I am going to switch to the handle this time, though. All right, let's see. Honestly, goes down pretty well. It's holding my paint nicely. I actually need a little bit more paint. I thinned it a smidge too much. This might be a little bit of an awkward angle for you guys. Hope you can still see. There we go. Yeah, I like what's happening here. That is a good color, although I'm getting a little bit of pooling that I don't want, so let's remove that. You know, speaking of the Army Painters speed paints, do you guys see the recent announcement of the first metallic speed paints? I watched the video Army Painter put out about the new paints, because they had posted about it on Instagram, I think like yesterday, but I saw the video today. And I'm intrigued. I'm really, really intrigued. Because they do look, I mean, it's a metallic paint. It's kind of what I've hoped would end up happening. I cannot wait to actually try it in real life and see how it functions. Especially with, I assume this is going to be done with their new formula to help with the... I know some people had concerns of like this paint re-lifting up a little bit more than maybe they had anticipated. And so they're supposed to be working on that as well. And so I'm hoping this paint will have that rework, but like, looks interesting. And I really, really, really want to give it a try. I'm dabbing that color around there because I want it to be a little darker in that portion of the hat, but I don't want it to look like my paint spilled, which is kind of what's happening right now. We'll just do a second layer once it's dry. That's looking pretty good, and oop, nope. There we go. All right, that is looking swell. I like that because it's giving that leather tone that I was wanting without it being super shiny like snakebite sometimes can be. Okay, let's switch to those thinner brushes though, because this bigger brush is far too much. Like I like these kinds of bristles, but not for this. I'm just really getting it clean. I was holding a lot of paint, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is when you don't want it to dry in your fennel and then like spread your bristles apart in a not good way that you don't really want happening. I actually am going to clean my water really quick because it has the white pigment from the white paint we were mixing in with the contrast. I find that sometimes that starts to leave a little bit of residual residue in the other colors that I'm working with, and you don't want that to happen. I've had it like look weirdly grainy. So I am going to be right back, just very, very briefly to clean my water. Didn't take too long at all. But now I have some clean water. We are ready to keep painting. Let's go ahead and grab... No, yeah, we want to keep using this brush for some of these leather details. Oh, also, the model hobbyist, or no, it was, oh, hello, first of all, let me pause. Josh, hello, welcome to the stream, happy to have you here. I saw somebody say something about it being bold of them to actually, oh, Nafil, I'm gonna mispronounce your name. Nathaniel? I think I've said your name correctly. I've probably butchered it multiple times. They did send me their sprue cutter. I have not tried them yet, but let me grab them real quick. One moment. So, you know, since we're talking about it, and we have some time, and I'm gonna clean this brush so that it doesn't have paint dry in it. There we go. Okay, so I wanted to show off a little bit of what else GodHand sent me because they don't just do brushes. As you might have mentioned, I also got a sprue cutter, which I have not opened up yet, but I'm actually very excited because, you know what, let's just open it. Ooh. That is comfortable. Like, in comparison to... So, I've been hobbying for a while and I have a lot of sprue guns. My go-to is actually this IG again, but I like the grip on this. Like, it's very similar to this. The rubber material feels similar, but I feel like I'm still getting a really good pinch out of this. Like, I don't have to squeeze as hard, and I feel like I'm still getting a good, like, firmness, which is really nice. And I have not tried these yet, but I'm very excited to, because honestly, like, this is this the old Citadel? I don't remember this is an old Citadel or just some other, like, sprue cutters or wire cutters that I have, but I know that this one is a Citadel. And it's fine, but I actually think the tip is too bulky. Like, I find that when I'm going in and needing to snip things, it's just not as... Was I using this one? Was that the problem? Now I'm remembering, because when I was building my red gobbo, I used one of these two. And I think it was this. And I felt like I wasn't getting as close to the sprue as I really want, or as close to the model on the sprue as I really wanted to. Whereas this, look how fine of a tip that is. Like, that's really nice. I don't have any sprues around me to actually snip anything, so I can't really test them specifically, but at least I will say I really do enjoy that grip. Hello, Graham! Welcome to the stream. Happy to have you here. Are they? Do you just, like, I've never tried their nippers before, but now that you guys are telling me that they're, like, just above all, I am hyped. So they also sent me, they sent me the nippers, which is fantastic. Also, I like the bright blue color. Can I just say, like, as just on an aesthetic level, it's nice. I like it. I enjoy that. It's one of the reasons I actually went with these, is because I like the orange as well, or like this red color tone. But like this, I really do like this. Okay, so they also sent me a variety of other things. They actually sent me a whole packet of other brushes. Let me get it out of the plastic, because you guys probably cannot see super well through it. But what they sent was a thing that apparently I cannot actually extract from this. Oh, that's so nice. So I pulled the stuff out, and they give you a guide on how to, one, fix your bristle tips if you want. It also does a comparison of the GodHand bristles versus the standard one. These are definitely synthetic. That's what the BP or the PBT is, which I personally predominantly use synthetic. There was a time back in my college days where I got a lot of sable hair brushes, and I love them. Don't get me wrong. Kolinsky Sable, very, very good. Use the Winsor Newton stuff all the time. But I don't know. There's just something about it. I found like the synthetics work really well with the contrast paint, and they don't end up deteriorating the bristles quite as fast, because contrast paint can be a little, because that's what I predominantly use, can be a little harsh sometimes on your brushes. So the synthetic works really well. These ones are very interesting to me because these are short handle brushes. Like, they're not, I mean, that's how big they are. They're like, that's my hand next to it. They're very tiny brushes. But like, they also, again, have some really nice tips. This one is the one that like intrigued me the most. I don't know how these are attached. What magic? Oh, it's a double-sided tape. Got it. To me. Okay. So this is the one that fascinates me because it's such a long, like, point. And in my like past, I would always use brushes like this that would end up to draw really nice straight lines with a great feathered tip on them. If you read a lot of comic books, you'll recognize the feathering that I'm talking about because you can see the lines. When they end up pulling like a single line, you know what? I literally have brushes here and I can find some paper that's not colored because that'll make it more difficult to show this because I don't have any, I mean, I guess I can pull black ink out. I need some paper. No. Why would I have paper in my office? That's ridiculous. Be right back. I grabbed one of my old sketchbooks. Good Lord, I have not looked through these in a long time. I wrote something on the side of this page, that's why I looked. It says May 25th. Apparently, this was part of a journal and I did not actually paint anything on May 25th. So, what I was talking about with the feathering, because I'm a nerd and I want to demonstrate it because I haven't done this in so long. I am going to use a larger brush only because I want the line to be, you know what? We don't need to use a larger brush. I can just use this brush. I do, however, want to use a darker color, so I've got the silicon gray here. Let's see if I can still do this, okay? We're gonna see if I can actually still feather, because I have not tried doing this in ages. But basically, essentially what it is it's when you see like, and then you get a point, then like, that one's not good. Can you guys see those? So that's what I mean, like with the, whoa, what happened? What am I, there, my camera just, oh, it's because my paper is so freakishly bright white. Okay. I think that's what's happening a little bit there. Okay, but you guys can see the cool feathering effect that I'm talking about. So if you see that in comics, and I'm genuinely doing, I think, like a very mediocre job right now. My professors would be ashamed. I have not done this in ages though, so that's my excuse. I believe that you can get them in the UK if you order them off of their website. But I actually did not look into that before I started streaming, so do not quote me on that, Graham. I will see if I can look into that a little bit more, and then if you, I think we talk on Instagram, right? I think so. I talk to so many people, I'm not 100% sure. But I would suspect that you can, because I imagine they ship internationally. Don't know like what that does in regards to like affecting the costs of the shipping or anything like that, but I do believe that you could order them. Um, oh, that makes so much sense. I hadn't even considered that they were probably a Gunpla line and they were getting into the... That makes total sense. Oh, that one was so much better. Except that I don't have enough paint on my brush now. All right. Okay, I'm gonna feather one more time for prosperity's sake. But basically, it's just pulling a lot of lines that taper. That's essentially what feathering is. But you see it all the time in comics, and I feel like that's what that brush, that small brush that I was talking about, is really meant for. And I really want to try doing, like, honestly, these little brushes, the main thing that they've done for me personally as a... What's happening with the sketchbook? There we go. Wham! It's away. I have moved the sketchbook. The main thing that has happened with me in getting all these smaller brushes and actually starting to want to use them is it makes me want to do more freehand. Like, it actually makes me want to start trying to do, like, patterns, because I do feel like, to a certain extent, I have a little bit of a better way to control those patterns. And when I worked on Sabine, it wasn't Sabine specifically, it was a Clan Ren Mandalorian from Star Wars Legion, and I ended up doing some freehand on her, and it was just so much fun. And I've seen a lot of people recently working on doing cool, like, paintings on the shoulders of some of their models. And I kind of want... I hadn't really thought about it super thoroughly until this stream and talking with you guys about it. Oh, we need to ban somebody! Let me get on that one moment, folks. One moment. Hello, this person. You can be... There we go. I think they're gone. Clear the bot! Everybody's fine. I've taken care of the bot. We don't need to worry about it anymore. You have hobby trolls. You have trolls on just now. Yes, yeah, no, I saw them. I got them. We're all good, everybody. It's okay. I've taken care of the bots. However, if you do want some spicy ladies, you can head over to my Only Fanatics and join me in Camera. That is the only place where you can get that kind of content from Hobby Night. You should try the Color Forge spray primer. I've not heard of Color Forge. Is that a newer brand, or am I just, like, really out of the loop when it comes to hobby products? Is that what's happened? That's... No! Okay. We need to refocus on actually painting some miniatures and not just gabbing about comic art and holding straight lines with a brush, because that's very important. But I do want to try doing some more freehand. Like, that is something I legitimately would love to start trying to do a bit more of, because I just think it's been really cool, and I feel like I've seen an increase of people playing around with that, and I don't know, just seems very, very exciting. Hello, Thomas! Welcome to the stream. I hope you are enjoying yourself, having a wonderful day. Do let me know if you're working on anything fun right now. I'm always happy to hear about everybody's hobby projects. I'm going to put a little bit of water on this because I feel like I did not get a whole lot, and I really want this paint to move. There we go. That's feeling better. Let's get painting. I will admit, so I mentioned that I'm actually doing a painting tutorial this week on the channel, even though it is Lego week, and that is not Lego. But I really have been wanting to paint the Red Gobbo, and I've been sitting on him for like a year. So I figured now is the time, and I'm actually incredibly nervous about doing this because I have not filmed a painting tutorial in like a month. Like, obviously I've been painting with you guys here, and we've been doing that kind of thing, but I've not actually filmed a painting tutorial in a while. And I'm like, I hope I can still do it. I hope I am, like, have something relevant still to say. Because I got really nervous about it. I'm actually going to be working on that a little bit after this, and I'm going to be using those dry brushes again, because I'm going to be doing some slack job. This is just such a nice color. The speed paint. I think these brushes hold a good amount of paint. I haven't felt like it's ever like going over, like it's not overfilling the brushes. I actually feel like they just hold exactly the amount you expect them to, which is nice. I don't think that's because they're synthetic, and because I've noticed that sometimes with synthetic bristles is that they don't always, like, it's not that they're not holding the paint enough. They just are like holding it. They don't oversaturate is really the main thing. Patrick, hello, welcome. Mark, also welcome. Graham, you asked, when are you back on as AM? I don't understand that. When are you... Now I'm very confused because I see that you wrote off below. Please clarify your statement in the comments because I am now slightly confused, but I want to understand because I feel like we were continuing a conversation. Therefore, it's important to me. That I missed that. I missed his hat. Missed a little section on his hat. There we go. I'm just gonna like deepen the inside of that a little bit. It's, you know, got sweat and stuff there, so it should be a bit dirtier, a bit grimier, a little more disgusting. Or at least stained looking. And then I did say that I want to darken this a little bit, so let's glaze a bit more color on. And see, this is why when people say that the speed paints reactivate, I'm like, I don't know if they, I mean, they do occasionally, maybe, but I feel like it's not a detrimental thing. I guess they, I mean, it's just kind of, like, I will say that Army Painter does sometimes talk about, like, a longer wait time for them being fully dry. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe people are just, like, going too fast or something, but that kind of seems like it defeats the purpose of the paint, doesn't it? I realized that I have not actually painted his stitches on his breeches. I rhymed. I bet you guys didn't know I was a poet. I'm not, actually. I just sometimes make really dumb jokes. But I do want to paint these to make them stand out a bit more. Gives them a little bit more depth, a bit more character. I've spent so much time on these two little boys. This is more time than I would have ever really spent on a troop model. But it ends up being because I end up talking too much. I just really apparently like the sound of my own voice because I just keep gabbing. Hopefully that ends up being very entertaining for you guys because that's the goal. These are really, like, great tips on these brushes. Can confirm. Can confirm. Great tips on these brushes. Get his... Start working on his belt. Now, I think I'm going to do the... Do I want to... I was about to say... I was about to say that I'm going to do the pouches in a different color tone. I need to remember what Sand Golem actually looks like. One moment, I'm gonna look it up on the interweb. I mean, I guess I could just use it. You do, in fact, have it sitting right here. I don't want to put it on. Where's one of my test models? I'm gonna grab my test model. Bam, test model. Okay. I don't fully remember what this color looks like or how dark it is, therefore I'm going to shake that more. We should actually test it. You're gonna work on a Lego Star Wars Knights? Oh, they're Knights of the Ren transport ship? Oh, you got that one? That's so cool. I have not picked that one up yet, but it looks amazing. Have you seen the new Star Wars Lego stuff that's rumored to be coming out, like, in 2023? It's looking pretty, like, and some of them are potato cam photos and everything like that, but, the TIE bomber, I believe, is what we're getting. And it looks so good! The upgrade from the old one from, like, 2003, I think it was. Just, it blows it completely out of the water, and I think I'm at least gonna get one, but I might end up getting two. It really depends. I can't remember what the troopers are that come with it. But yeah, it looks so freaking rad. Dude, I like using the gray speed paint instead of Nuln Oil as well. Like, I like the new Nuln Oil, but the older one, I just felt like the gray sometimes worked better as a wash. Alright, let's test this color. Is this gonna be too similar to what I've already done on their pants? No. Maybe. It's more yellow. It's definitely more yellow. I'm gonna let that dry. I want to see what it looks like. I think I'm gonna just stick with the hardened leather though, because I'm worried that the sand golem's gonna end up being too almost mustardy. Like, this looks mustardy to it. Oh, you know what it is? It's reminding me of Nazdrag. I painted like something that's so in a tucked in area. I should have painted somewhere it was easier for you guys to see. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's got a little bit of a Nazdrag coloring to it. I don't think that's what I want. So we're going to stick with the hardened leather. We're going to get a little bit more water on our brush because my paint's drying. Okay, there we go. And we'll continue on with our leather work. It does set the mood for hobby. I mean, that's the whole point, right? That's why we called the channel Hobby Night. We just wanted to set the mood for all sorts of different hobbies, including Lego, or painting, or model building, or, you know, whatever other art form or hobby type thing that you want to do. You want to work on some bonsai trees? That's cool too. Like, sure, let's, like, any kind of hobby. I also, you have not missed that much, Jeremy. We talked a little bit about the new brushes that I'm using, which are these GodHand brushes, which is a modeling company from, or not modeling company, but a modeling supply company from Japan, who predominantly is, from my recent learning, actually does a lot with gunpla. They sent me a whole bunch of different tools, like some nippers and various other things as well, which I didn't finish showing you guys, I realized. So we'll get back to that in just a second. But the main thing that they sent me and what they sponsored this video for was to talk about their paintbrushes. Because they're looking to expand that and, you know, show more people that you can use them for miniature painting, not just gunpla. And I have to agree, like, they have some really nice synthetic brushes. That's what I'm using right now. They are on, in my opinion, some of the smaller sides of the tips, but I'm not necessarily opposed to that because I think the detail work can really come out of that very nicely. The thing that really drew me into them, though, and I've used them already a little bit on the plasma coils here, but are these two small dry brushes. This is really what intrigued me by the company, because they had this one, which came in the set of this other brand, these other brushes, which is their semi-pro set. And then they also sent me this smaller detail dry brush. And I have to say, I really like it. This tip, I like a little bit more than this one because it's a bit of stiffer bristles, which I just find got some really good results on these plasma coils as I was laying the paint down. Like, it left just enough paint I like the rounded tip. Anytime I can have a dry brush, I forgot words for a second, a dry brush with a round tip, I am very much happy to have that because I think you can just get a generally better effect out of your dry brushing. You don't get as dusty feeling sometimes with the rounded tips because I feel like it just gives you a bit more control. But this one I thought was really interesting too, even though it's not as stiff as the other one, because it just ends up being so small. That's how I actually got a lot of this detail work. The other cool thing was I was able to use these and go back in and do some spot shading, which I don't normally do, but I'm really pleased with the results and how easy these were to work with and how I didn't really feel like I was struggling with them much. The one thing I will say as like maybe a critique of it is the handle on this one in particular, like these lighter handled brushes, they feel very soft, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And because I actually really like the feel of them in my hand, like actually running my hand along these, they're very smooth. I'm not really worried about splinters or anything. And it's very like comfortable in my hand, but it's absorbing water like crazy. So anytime that I clean my brush, if I accidentally put my brush like too far into my water, like, nope, hold on. And like that, like, please also never do this. Never leave your brushes tipped down in your water. But if I end up shaking it and going too far down, it's getting a bunch of water on the handle. And this is such a soft wood that it's kind of absorbing it significantly. And I can feel that, like, and that's a little awkward. But otherwise, and I feel like that's kind of more of a user concern in overfilling my water cup than anything else, because I'm used to working with much larger bristles on my brushes, so I'm like sticking it further down because the brushes are physically larger. But that's like the one criticism I would say, and I don't even really think that is necessarily the fault of the company as much as it is the fault of user error sticking it too far into the water. However, if that is something that you think you might be prone to do, I am curious what this is going to do over time. Is it going to either shred the nice soft texture of this softer wood, or is it going to absorb and cause it to shrink and contract enough that the fennel, which is holding your bristles in and everything, gets skewed and therefore your bristles aren't as maintained over a long period of time? That's my one criticism of a potential issue. Like I said, I am probably going to do a follow-up on the brand, like either, I don't know if it'll be on a live stream or if it'll probably end up being on a live stream. It'll probably just be something I casually talk about as, you know, we are doing. Oh, that was not the right color to use. Okay, hold on. I wasn't paying attention. And hardened leather and sand golem look a smidge similar to each other when the bottle is facing away from you and you're not reading the labels. Always read your labels. Okay, seriously, stop grabbing that one. It's this one. I want this one. Oh, the Inquisitor transport scythe? Nice. That is a good set. I picked up, is that the, I want to double check because I think I may have that one. Where is my Lego Builder app? So that I can track my Legos. Oh, speaking of tracking my Legos, this website is something that I wish Games Workshop would, or not website, this app is something I wish that Games Workshop would do so that I could track what sets I own. Like, I've gotten into the Lego, oh my God. I own so many pieces of Lego brick in such a short period of time. 40,400 Lego bricks. And that's actually not accurate because this app will not let me put multiples of some of the sets that I have, and I definitely have a lot of 5.0 first packs. So many 5.0 first packs. But the thing that I was looking up is what we have for our Lego, because it's clearly very important. Something we just bought. We just got the light cruiser and built that one up. And then we haven't built it yet, but I do have the Republic gunship, like the big fancy one. Oh, I'm so excited. It's the Justifier. That's what did I get anything else? Was the Imperial V-Wing, is that one of the new ones I got too? I don't remember now, but I have a variety of different Lego ships. And I'll probably continue to buy more, including that TIE Bomber, because it just looks so cool. All right, but we need to keep painting. Hopefully, by the way, Jeremy, I hope that covered what you missed. It was a lot of discussion about brushes and painting and working on my little orcs, because that is what we're all about here. But I really do, I have to give it to GodHand. I am very much liking their brushes so far, despite these mild handle concern that I at least have on these ones. This one, the blue one, it's a laminated handle. I'm way less concerned about it being as absorbent. These are just, I can feel the moisture still in this handle a smidge, because it is doing a little bit of like water, not water damage, but it's water, it's very absorbent. It's just a very absorbent brush. Oh no, Sarah, you have some bad news? No, I'm so sorry to hear that you have COVID in the household. That is really sucky. I hope it does not last too long for you or leave any like bad side effects or anything. Aw, I'm so sorry, my friend. At least you'll have time to hobby, I guess, right? Because you gotta isolate yourself, so that'll hopefully be fun, maybe. This is coming along quite well. It pleases me. Especially when it just like, I don't know, works super well. Yeah, I like the handles in regards to the grip. Might be a little small for some of you guys have like much larger like dude hands. Like if you got big dude hands, it may be a little bit of a tighter grip for you, but really well for me. Got my baby hands. All right, we've got a little bit of leather there. Got some metal bits that I missed. We'll go back and do that later. We do have this. I still haven't decided what I think this is on Cromlech's model. There's like this section. I'm blocking it completely. This section right here of where the barrel is like connecting to his coat. It looks like he's got like a patch or like, not really sure what it's supposed to be, but it's like attached physically to his shirt. And I don't know why he'd want it to be like the barrel to be physically attached to his outfit, but you know, it's fine. An orc will do what an orc wants to do. Come back in and do some of those rivets that you might be seeing on the leather in gray afterwards. I'm just not going to worry about it quite yet. That's good. I banged the camera a little bit. Sorry about that. It's amazing to me how much work you actually can do with contrast and speed paints if you layer them and approach them with speed, but not like slop, you know? Because I feel like sometimes, and this is really just a memory from when speed paint first, not speed paint, from when contrast paint first came out and everybody had a really bad stigma towards it. I just feel like if you just work with it as if it's a normal paint, you can get some really insane results out of it. And I don't feel like it actually takes that much longer. Like, or I feel like it is significantly shorter of a time than traditional painting sometimes. And that's just me. That's just me. Now, I say that, and I've been working on these orcs for like weeks, but literally I'm only working on them when I'm hanging out with you guys, because that was the decision that I made about them. I was like, these are a thing that I want to accomplish with the community and get working on them with. So we're going to save it for that. We did that testing, and the whole testing was to see if I wanted to make these pouches in a different color, and I don't. I want to just have them be the hardened leather to make my life easier. Now, this is one thing I will say with these GodHand brushes is, as I guess just another critique of it, is normally I'd want to be using a much larger brush in a section like this, because I wouldn't want to be doing all this really like large or flat areas with such a small tip. However, it is making sure that I can get into those recesses that I would miss sometimes otherwise a little bit more cleanly without. So I guess there is that. There are some benefits to it. There are in fact some benefits to it. Oh yeah, you have a hobby streak of 411 days going? That is awesome. You absolutely can take a pause for being sick. That is not a problem. I guess, yeah, because like you can cough a lot with. I've not had COVID, at least not that I'm aware of. So like, but I forget that like it actually can be one that causes you to hack a lot, unfortunately. Just sucks. Because yeah, that would definitely prevent you from wanting to hobby. You're not going to be able to get clean lines or anything like that. Can I also just talk about how I love that I've just got all this pink on my hand from when I was dry brushing earlier? Anybody new into the stream might be like, well, I mean, if you guys are hobbyists, you'll know. You'll probably just assume it's a color I was using earlier. But imagine if you came into the stream and you were like, what is happening? Why is her hand pink? Especially if I wasn't actively painting something on screen, like when you first saw it. It would just be funny. At least it's an obvious color that it's not like blood or something. Really get somebody concerned. What did you do to your hand? You scratched it. No, it's just paint. It's fine. Really, I promise. You ever had that happen? Like, for those of you that, like, may have either gone to school and you, like, took some art classes, whether it be high school or college or anything like that, but have, like, somebody who is not in the art classes see that you had, like, paint on your hand or something like that and freak out because they thought you, like, cut yourself or something like that? Because I definitely did back in high school. Until all of my friends realized that I was just an art kid and probably was covered in paint. Or markers. It was more often markers. I actually didn't paint with like acrylics and such that often. I was definitely more of a Copics person. I love my Copic markers. I wonder if they would work on others. I have no idea if that would be like valuable. Like, I have no idea if that would be valuable as a thing you could or even want to necessarily use. But now it's got me curious because it's an alcohol-based ink. So if you primed a model, could you use a Copic marker on the model to fill in the color? And what would that end up doing with a water-based medium afterwards? Like, would it lift it? It's kind of an interesting idea. You made it back! I am so glad to have you back, Stainsby. Welcome, welcome. Oh no! Well, you got brown on your hand and they thought it was poop? That's not good. That must have been like, no, I swear, it's fine. I promise. I am not gross. Oh, I would be so embarrassed if that happened, if somebody was like, what is that? You have poop? No. Don't be ridiculous. Really nice control with these tips. I know I've said that a number of times, but I'm working on the belt, and I just feel like if I had been using a different brush in that section, like one of the ones that I normally would, I would have gotten brown paint all over his pants, and I got nothing. Nothing on his pants. It's all just clean and exactly what it's supposed to be. Let's go ahead and get some of this leather cord holding the skull to his face. Not to his face, it's to his chest. It's on his necklace. Got a lovely skull necklace. So I need to finish painting some of these. I apparently started this armband and then gave up miraculously on it. Have you guys been watching anything fun recently? I actually very much got into the new Addams Family show Wednesday. Because it's so good. I want to cosplay her so badly. That is definitely something that's probably going to be coming to Kamara at some point. Because such a good show. Everybody's thirsty for Wednesday. It's the opposite problem Obi-Wan has. Obi-Wan's thirsty for everybody. Everybody's thirsty for Wednesday. It's really good if you guys haven't been watching it. I think it's on Amazon. I don't know. I have like all of them. I never remember where I'm watching things. It's also way more involved than I was anticipating. In regards to like what the plot actually is, and I don't want to like spoil anything because I think it's a really good story. So if you're not watching it, I don't want to like ruin it for you. But like, yeah, it's been very interesting so far. I'm on episode like 6 or so, and I think there's 8 episodes. So we're nearing the end, and I hope it gets another season. I feel like there's a lot more they could still do with the characters and such in the school, because it's you know, her going to high school at Nevermore, which I actually am, because I am not like an old school Addams Family fan. Like I've watched some of it, but I've not watched like a huge amount. I actually don't know if that is like canon to the universe, like that school, or if it's added in because of this new retelling of the Addams Family, you know, characters. Nice. I've actually only watched a few episodes of Stranger Things season 1 myself. I don't know why I never really got super into it. I just didn't. Which is funny because it's so within my wheelhouse. I love horror. I like the 80s nostalgia. And I like D&D. So it really, I feel like it should have been something I watched more, but I just didn't. I'm also not that big of a TV watcher, I will admit. Like, I've only recently, like this holiday seasons are when I watch the most things, because basically it's me catching up on things that I've either missed or rewatching things that I loved in the past. And that's why, like, currently I am watching Wednesday. I am watching, which is the new thing that I'm watching. And then I'm also watching Clone Wars again. And I hadn't actually watched Andor when it first came out. I decided, like, Chaos Cultist and I decided that we wanted to wait until it was just out completely, so we could just watch it within like a week, but like once a day or something like that. And so that's what we're doing right now. So we're watching Clone Wars, Andor, and Wednesday. And honestly, I love all of them. I think they're all fantastic. Oh, National Treasure Edge on History? Is that on, you said it's on Disney Plus though? I'll have to check that out. I'm watching YouTube. Like, honestly, if I have to be perfectly honest, I watch predominantly YouTube. Which is just really funny. And a whole mix of things, like essays and let's plays and comedy videos and all sorts of things. So it's a real mix of people and content that I'm consuming. Speaking of content that I've been consuming, actually, and YouTube things that I've been watching. Did any of you guys watch the chess boxing tournament that Ludwig put on? Because if you did not, and you like either chess or boxing, and or just any of the people that they had on the show, most of which I don't remember the names of, but Chris Broad and Dog VA were on there. It was just a really good pay-per-view. I believe he streamed it on his channel, so I think it's still, you can still find it there. But like, it was way more entertaining and a much better put together pay-per-view type product, because they really did treat it like there was an arena, there was a crowd, they had a ring. These people punched each other in the face and then played chess. And frankly, it was really well put on. And I'm comparing it to pro wrestling shows that I've been to. So kudos to Ludwig. And I hope that he does more of them, because I found it to be a fascinating sport. All right, I feel like we almost have all the leather sections on this lad taken care of. I'm just gonna do a quick spin-a-rooney. Notice that I have not painted this top portion of his beautiful leather cuff. So let's go ahead and take care of that. I need to figure out what I'm going to do for the strings on this piece that I'm working on, because I realized I painted them in the color that I've been using for the straps. Which maybe isn't the most ideal thing, but it's fine. I'll just use maybe I'll just use wildwood or a darker brown. I'm trying to avoid having to do a cleanup stage on that for my mistake. Instead of going with like a lighter brown, because I could do that, but I'm with a darker color so I can just be like, ah, it's fine, I'll just cover it. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, I've heard good things about Peaky Blinders. I've never watched any of it. I know, I don't remember which of Asmodee's, studios actually made the game, but I remember at one point, I want to say it was a couple years ago now, and I don't remember. But I remember a Peaky Blinders board game coming out and going like, oh, interesting. I didn't know they made a board game for that, but it makes sense. It's a very popular show from my understanding. I don't actually know what it's about though. I've not looked into it at all. So yeah. Also, Sass Rogue Heroes. That one I'm also not familiar with. This probably is going to come as no surprise because I don't, like I said, I don't really watch a whole lot of television or TV series. I mostly watch YouTube. So I'll be very out of the loop. Hello, Christopher. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. I am doing wonderfully. I am going to take a small break and get my soda because my throat is getting a little dry and I think I need some. I'm continuing to just really enjoy using these brushes. I will admit, I wasn't sure how much I was going to love them just because of how tiny they are. And I do think that there are some things that maybe I should not use them for, like this bracer that I've been working on. Probably could have used with a little bit of a bigger brush. But the problem is this one that comes in the set. I actually want to drink, sorry. This one that comes in the set is a little too big for some of these details. And that is one thing I will say about this little 4-pack of brushes that they came with. I wish that either this filbert brush was even smaller, I guess, or it was a round brush, so more like these brushes, but with a little bit of a actual larger tip like this. That being said though, if you got this and you had big flat armor panels to work on, like you were working on Space Marines or even like a tank or something, this would definitely be more useful because then you'd have a lot, you could cover a lot more area a lot faster. Although this would still be, I feel like, fairly small for a Warhammer tank. if you were working on something that was a much smaller scale, like, is bolt action in a smaller scale than Warhammer 40k or Flames of War? I think they are, right? Like, I've not actually played those war games myself, but I've seen them being played in a couple of, like, honestly, I saw it more in the game store that I found when I was in Indianapolis going to Gen Con. I found some, like, really big game store the first time that I went to Gen Con. It was right outside of our hotel because we were not anywhere near the hotels for the convention itself. And it was a really, I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head at all. I hope it's still there because this was pre-COVID, so like I have no idea what happened to them. But I hope they're still around. It's like Family Time Games or something like that. But they had a lot, there was a massive number of people playing Bolt Action, or Flames of War. It wasn't Bolt Action, it was Flames of War in that store while we were there, which honestly I guess shouldn't be surprising. We were there during Gen Con weekend, and like I assume they're just going to have like a crap ton of gamers out and about, and considering they were near some of the hotels that people were staying in from the convention, they probably, honestly, it was probably very good for their business, if I had to say so. Oh, don't worry, I will not drink the paint water. We'll just drink some delicious Mountain Dew because we're gamers here. Oh, I did not know that it was based on the gangs in Birmingham. That's, or did I say that right? Yes, I did. Okay, I read that correctly. That's actually really cool. That definitely feels like something I might enjoy. I say the word definitely too much. I've been repeating myself too frequently, and I think it's because I'm tired. It's been a weirdly long week so far, even though it's only just begun. It's because we're in the holiday season and prep is happening for that and all sorts of things. Don't drink your paint water. No one should be drinking their paint water. It's bad for you. Please don't do that. It is just no. Just I command you to not drink your paint water. You won't listen to me. I know you probably won't. But it's at least I've put it out there into the world and hopefully it'll encourage you. We need to paint this belt. All these leather straps. I really forgot how much I liked this specific speed paint. Like, it is really, really nice. Oh! God, I feel like I said this like an hour ago. Probably wasn't actually an hour ago. I wanted to finish showing you guys what we got from GodHand because I'll probably be talking a little bit more about them in the future. But I was showing you the last thing that we had actually talked about was the nippers and then these smaller brushes that they sent me, which have these shorter handles, which I'm kind of interested in. But I find them interesting because I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a harder grip for a lot of people, especially male hobbyists who have significantly larger hands than I do. This long tipped one was the one that I was most interested in. They call it a point brush L. Don't know what that stands for. This one though was an angled brush, and I freaking love angled brushes because you can get some really cool lines out of pulling them. So we got that, and it comes with like this neat little like container. Holy cow. Is this what I think it is? Are these stickers? Oh my god, you guys. 10 out of 10 product. But legitimately, I actually really like this. So in this packet, they have sent me some hobby tool stickers, and you are sure as heck that I am going to be putting these on something where I store my hobby tools because this is amazing. Like, this is a dumb add-on that is completely unnecessary, but as somebody who enjoys stickers, I am so pleased by this, so you have no idea. Like, this is just this, look at the little clippers and the little paintbrushes. So good. Okay, honestly, very great. Perfectly workable. I just stuck my hand in something. It was water, thankfully not paint. But a nice little container for that as well. They also sent me some brush care sheets, which I've never used a care sheet. Oh. Ooh. Okay, so it's just like, honestly, it's kind of like a medical cloth. But I imagine this helps you get the color like out of your bristles without it being as rough of a surface. Clean that brush significantly later. So we got some brush care sheets as well. And then the other main thing that they sent me, because I don't think I grabbed everything, but the other main thing that I sent me, and I don't know if I'm going to get this on screen very well, is a magnifying headlamp. Here we go. Which I've never used one of these before. I've been very curious about them because I feel like it's zooming in. You know what? Let's pop it open. And let's see if it's something I can put on right now and give it a try. Because I think that would be a fun way to end the stream, is trying this on. I do want to give a huge thank you to GodHand for sponsoring today's stream. They sent me a whole huge package of things. Like I said, this is not everything, but the main thing that they had discussed with me was the brushes. So when I got everything else, I was super thrilled, very surprised, but very excited because I'm always happy to try new tools. Like I'm one of those people that will jump around between brands because I feel like I think they all have their uses. And right now, so far what I've seen from GodHand's products is the fact that this is like so stuck on here. They are really nice quality in regards to the brush tips themselves. I cannot stress that enough. Like I've been very pleased with how well they've maintained their shape, despite the slightly harsh materials that are in, and there's not like actually harsh materials, but there's something about the medium that is used in contrast paint and speed paint. I think that helps keep it so fluid. That also seems to damage brushes a little bit more than normal. And I feel like the synthetic brushes that's what's happening. I have another piece of plastic here. But I feel like that is what is nice about GodHands, is because they're synthetic, they're not having, like, they're just keeping their shape super, super, super well. I also don't feel like there's nearly as much of a stigma against synthetic brushes. I feel like there was a time where there was. Maybe that was just my memory from art school, honestly. Evening, Double Dip. How are you doing? I am so, well, welcome. Thank you for finding the channel. I'm glad that you are enjoying your time here so far, even if it has been brief. And I'm very, very glad to hear that you're enjoying the streams. I am still figuring out the streams myself and then everything that I need to do with them. There's a nice, I think, warranty information or something that I can't read because it's in Japanese. Can we just talk about how the fact that I wish that was a language I could have taken in high school as one of my required courses? Ooh. All right, let's. Dun, 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 dun. All right. We have a push. Okay. Let's see. Push. Ah. I'm putting it on. We're doing this for prosperity. Does it fit my tiny head? It does. Ooh. And honestly, more comfortable than I anticipated. Oh. Oh, this is weird. Like, not in a, like, it's not doing what it's supposed to. It totally is. I have just never really used them. I like it. I cannot see or focus on chat at all. Hold on. Oh god, okay. So I could not focus on chat whatever at all with the magnifying thing here, like this portion. But in regards to focusing on my orc, it was a lot. You know what? We're gonna try it. We're gonna get some, we're gonna put some paint on our palette. We have already. Good. I was prepped. It's almost like I've been doing this for almost 2 hours now. We're gonna bring this down and we're gonna see how well this works. I am so nervous that I'm going to have a depth of field judgment problem. Ooh. Can you guys... Okay, I'm on screen for you. Hold on, I have to let my eyes adjust. When I look up at the actual, like, where chat is, it hurts my eyes a little bit because I'm not supposed to be looking through the magnifying glass at that, but it's fine. This is going so well. I don't know if I'll use this all the time, but honestly, when I am working on super tiny detail stuff, especially on my, like, characters, I'm gonna bust this thing out, because, like, it really allows me to focus more. And I was not anticipating that. Oh yeah, I never finished cleaning up his lip. Let me go ahead and do that now that I'm looking at it. I need to look and see what I'm supposed to clean the magnifying glass with. I have no idea if I can actually, like, clean it with... I wonder if I just need to use a soft cloth and, like, non-abrasive cleaning solution. I'm worried that's going to take a coating or something off of it. Yeah, I probably will only wear it for very short periods of time when I'm doing, like, extreme details, but honestly, like, it's more comfortable than I anticipated. I was really expecting it to be either not keep to my head shape super well, or to slip and slide a lot, because it's not... Like, I just was really doubting the straps, and it's really secure. Like, this does not feel uncomfortable to me, because, like, that's one of the reasons I've never used one of these before, is because it always, like, I didn't really care that it looked kind of silly. Like, you know, I look a little silly with this in front of my face. But, like, the thing that I was always concerned about was more so it, being more of a hindrance than a helpful tool. And this is really not a hindrance. Like, I can focus fine, and that was my biggest concern, is that I wasn't going to actually be able to focus. I don't know why I thought that. It's a magnifying glass. Of course I should be able to focus, but, like, I don't know, I feel like I've used one other magnifying tool in the past. One of my old lamps also had a magnifying thing on it, and I used that once before to try to do some detail work, and I didn't like it. I felt like it hurt my eyes a lot. This is not hurting my eyes. Like, it's, like, I'm actually genuinely impressed. I mean, I guess it shouldn't be that surprised. They are a model company, or they are a model tools company. They do know what they're doing. And I've seen plenty of, like, gunpla people who I know, which is what GodHand, I think, originally kind of was developed for. Yeah, I'm actually very, very impressed with that. I'm going to take it off because we're not going to be on too much longer, and I don't really specifically need it because this guy doesn't have super tiny details. But if you are working on something that is an even smaller scale than Warhammer, or you just have a model that has some really extreme little details that you're wanting to get done, and you have, and you're concerned about focus and, like, looking a little cross-eyed because you're not as zoomed in as you want to be, like, I genuinely think those magnifying headset was really, really nice. It's, like, super good. Oh, they have another, just to go back to the Peaky Blinders discussion, Graham, they have another show? Like, does it follow, like, is it a continuation, or is it a different story set in the same, like, time period, or that kind of thing? I'm very curious. Oh, right, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna work on the stitches on his breeches. Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. I'll definitely have to check that out. I am like super focused because my eyes are a little... You know when you go, I don't know how many of you guys have glasses or frequently go to eye doctors, but you know when you get like the drops put in and then your eyes are really blown out for a little while and it's kind of hard to focus on certain things because your pupils are dilated? I'm having a little bit of that effect from the magnifying glass of like when I was then focusing on small details again, I was slightly unfocusing because my eyes were going, well, you're not looking through a super hyper focused lens right now. What are you doing? All right. I think that is the last bit of paint that I'm going to put down on right now on the model because we are going to wrap it up soon and my hands are getting a little shaky because I am feeling very hungry. So I'm gonna go grab lunch here very soon. But like I said, I wanted to give one final thank you to GodHand for sponsoring today's episode. I really enjoyed using the brushes that they sent and we got to play around with a couple of the other tools that they sent me as well. So again, thank you guys so much for sending that my way. If you guys are interested in checking out GodHand, I have left a link in the video description for you guys to be able to check out their web store and see what they have. You can also find them on Instagram. And I have followed them, and I'll probably share a link for that on my story here after the episode is over, which will be ending very, very shortly, so that you guys can find them on Instagram as well if you want to check out their products a bit more beforehand. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have had a wonderful stream with me today. We have a little bit of a lighter schedule coming for the holiday season. I'll be talking about more of that in detail on the channel here in a bit. And I hope you guys are very much looking forward to Friday's episode because we're going to have a brand new painting tutorial, the last one of the year actually. And I'm going to be focusing on... I actually have him over here, so let me go ahead and show you. I haven't done too much on him yet, but we're going to be working on the Red Gobbo because it's a holiday season, and I've been sitting on this boy for at least a year because I think he came out last year. Ignore that. And we're going to actually paint him this week. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of a slap chop method on him. I'm going to be using some of my new GodHand brushes in order to help me do that because he's got some really tight little recessed areas, and I honestly think that these brushes, like these two dry brushes that they sent me, are going to be perfect for getting some of those details covered when I am doing the dry brushing portion of the slap chop method. So I'm gonna get these guys cleaned up. I'm gonna grab myself some food, but I hope you guys have a wonderful hobby night. I've been Angela, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Oh, Michael, you're right. I should do the Goth Rocker. I have not picked him up yet. I actually haven't bought any Warhammer product in quite a while, but I probably will be grabbing him and I might be painting him next year. I actually have a plan for a holiday episode next year of maybe turning the Squig that I paint this year and the Goth Rocker that I'm hoping to maybe do next year into ornaments. I think that would be super fun. I've seen that done by a couple of people. A couple of my patrons were actually talking about how they had painted theirs up and then put them on their tree. And so that is something that I'm definitely going to be looking into. But I am actually going to head out now. I'm gonna go grab myself some lunch. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.